Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our two-day Asia Policy Assembly. We're so deeply appreciative that you would join us here, and I'm glad to introduce my partner in this process, Dr. Phil Saunders, to say our final remarks.
No, it's my pleasure, and I won't keep you too long. I want to do 3 points and a couple thanks. So I'm thinking, what are my takeaways from these 2 days of fascinating discussions? One that was central to pretty much everything was U.S.-China competition. And my takeaway is there's agreement that we have a problem. There's agreement on a lot of dimensions of what that problem is and the need for a tougher U.S. approach. But I didn't see consensus on exactly what the strategy is for dealing with that or on precisely the end states we want to get to at the end of the process. And indeed, Randy suggested this is a competition that's going to go on and on without end states. So it's good that we're focused on this. I worry a little bit about the risks of an overcorrection as we jump on the problem, as Washington tends to do. And one of the things, my takeaways from these 2 days, is the need for thinking very carefully about the trade-offs. There are a lot of tough choices on the relation between economic and security issues, and we need to think hard about them and try to make the right choices. So that's one big takeaway. A second, which was evident throughout the program, is the diversity of countries and issues that we talked about across the Indo-Pacific. There was a great breakout session on China-Russia relations, but if you look across the Indo-Pacific, that's the political, military, economic battlefield where U.S.-China competition is going to take place. And so a second takeaway is the need to understand both the specific countries and what are the dynamics in them, and the specific issues. And it really, I think, brings home the need for really specialized expertise to ask the right questions and try to get to the right answer. So that's an important takeaway and an objective of the Asia Policy Assembly. And the third is I was really impressed by the high quality of the presentations across the board, but especially those of our National Asia Research Program fellows. Who are drawn from universities across the country. There's a general trend in political scientists toward a greater focus on discipline and methodology, but I think what these 2 days reminded us is this is important, but it's not a substitute for deep regional expertise. And in picking the fellows, we sought professors who had both of those things, who were well-grounded in methodology, but also knew their countries and regions really well. And I think that's the strategic purpose of the National Asia Research Program, is to support and build this community of younger experts and connect them to the policy community. And I should note that this is the work that they are doing, a lot of which you heard presented today, is important at the national level, but that's not the only way that it matters. So I note that Kristen Vicasi did very, very interesting work on rare earths and the way that it affects various aspects of our policy and what's our strategy for it. But she also consulted with the governor of Maine on a trip to Japan and China to promote the sale of lobsters throughout those countries. So there's benefit at the national level, there's benefit at the local level, and that's partly why the program looks across the country to get a diverse group of professors from a diverse group of places. So those are my 3 big takeaways. I want to give some thanks. I remember we had our first discussion about the National Asia Research Program, and there was sort of a line in there, we'll do an Asia Policy Assembly. And to have it go from that one line in a proposal to the 2 days of discussions that we've heard is really remarkable. So I want to thank Rich Ellings, Roy Camphausen, Michael Wills, and Dan Aum at NBR for their leadership in making this program happen. I want to thank specifically Ali Slinsky, who did more than anybody else to put together the speakers and the program that you heard, and did a great job with that. I want to thank Audrey Mosbacher, who managed all the logistics, including the great food we have. And I want to say that she went the extra mile by having her honeymoon here at the Willard just so we could get a good rate. So you gotta appreciate that dedication to a good cause. So if we can we get a hand for Ali, Audrey, all the NBR staff for their hard work. And also for the staff at the Willard, who I think have done a great job in feeding us and bussing the tables and taking care of us in lots of ways. At NDU, I want to thank Vice Admiral Rogi and my boss, Dr. Laura Juner, for their contributions to the program, and especially my colleagues, Dr. Tom Lynch and Dr. Zach Abuza, for their contributions. I have to give a special thanks to Catherine Reese, our Dean of Administration, to build this relationship and to do it in a way that's legal and that passes muster and to negotiate a good contract was an incredible amount of work. And we wouldn't be here today if Kathy hadn't spent all of that time. Then a couple last thanks, obviously, to our keynote speakers, Senator Gardner, Senator Gordon, and Assistant Secretary Shriver for their remarks. I think gave us a lot to think about, and Randy in particular, a good statement of where the administration is in dealing with China. I want to thank all our speakers who brought an extraordinary range of expertise and insights to their presentations, both in the plenary sessions and the breakout. And then finally, I want to thank you, the audience. I think as we think about these issues, you can see these are very complex problems. There's trade-offs, and ultimately we need discussion, we need debate, we need input from everybody if we're going to make the right choices in our long-term strategy toward China and toward the Indo-Pacific region. And I think we had great questions and discussions in all the breakout sessions I was at. So I want to thank the audience for their contributions. This really is a discussion and a debate, not just a passive chance to sit in the audience. And with that said, I want to thank everybody, and I want to declare this Asian Policy Assembly concluded. So thank you all.